Greetings, once and all. It's Blair Johnson for the Badass Records Podcast, welcoming you in for an episode. Pleased to share with you that this week's guest is none other than Marcus Rattler. You can find Marcus's content on TikTok, marcus.rattler.music, or at Marcus Rattler on Instagram. Check him out on YouTube and Facebook as well. It's Rattler on the last name there. BadassRecordsPodcast.com is the website where all of this stuff lives. If you want to holler at me, BadassRecordsPodcast@gmail.com is the way to do that. Socials are Instagram and Twitter if you want to keep tabs on stuff. And as always, I'm in search of guests. So if you want to be one or you know someone that does, send them my way via that Gmail address. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. See here. I think we are in line to be episode 168, Badass Records Podcast, and Mr. Marcus Rattler. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you giving me a chunk of a busy Saturday that you've got going on. We crossed paths on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I think your stuff just started dropping into my feed, and seems cool to me, and we started messaging, and here we are. So really appreciate it. So you've on the talk, you're marcus.rattler.music,
yes,
right? And then at Marcus Rattler on Instagram,
yes,
right? Percussion, drums, and pan,
yes,
or steel pan,
yes.
right? They're one's a derivative of the other, or they're
steel pan, steel drum. It's just colloquial. Depends on who you're talking to.
Okay. So Trinidad and Tobago in the 1930s is where this comes from.
The late 1930s, early 40s. Yeah, it was the 55-gallon oil drums left there after the World War, during the World War, just littered on the beach.
Yeah.
And what they used to do is play tambu bamboo, which is these large bamboo shoots that they would strike on the ground. But they would move to the beach, and they couldn't strike on the ground any longer because there's sand everywhere.
Right.
Then they used those to hit those 55-gallon oil drums, and eventually they started making divots in it, and eventually they found pitch, and then from that came the beautiful steel pan.
Yeah. Was there somebody trying to say you can't do that? Were people, I feel like...
Yes and no. It's the culture of it. It used to be that pan men were kind of like outlaws kind of guys. Like it was a late night thing, a lot of drinking going on, a lot of stuff like that. But as it moved into the culture, and like tambu bamboo was a huge part of the culture, then steel pan became part of the culture. As the culture really embraced it, it's now on their money. It's their main export. Like,
nice.
It is what they are known as a nation, and they're very, very proud of it. And it's not as nearly the same eye as it used to be looked at.
Cool. So how does this instrumentation, this music, land in your lap? What gets you introduced to it?
So I got lucky that I went to Truman State University.
Cool.
Dr. Michael Bump is the percussion director there.
Nice.
Probably one of the greatest percussionists in the world.
Really?
Great timpanist. He's world renowned. He took a sabbatical before I'd even gotten to the school to go down to Trinidad. And he found a way to get funding and got the school to purchase instruments so that he could start a Truman Steel band.
Whoa.
And by the time I got there, I want to say it was the second or third year that they were going. And as soon as I touched the instrument, it was my favorite thing.
Is this Kirksville?
Yes, Kirksville, okay. Missouri, way up northeast here. And it was, I played a lot of, four mallet marimba. I did all the percussion stuff, timpani, snare drum, drum line, front ensemble. But something about as soon as I touched a steel pan, it gravitated. Like I can't even describe how much easier it is for me to play. It just makes a lot of sense for some reason. It's set up in a way that's fourths and fifths, the scale of, or the circle of fifths. Okay. And I'm not huge in harmony or melody because I come from a drumming background. So rhythms I'm great with. I can tell you all the 30-second notes in the world. But something about, I think, the way it's laid out, then the patterns, my brain just really reads it a lot easier. And it's like shapes of, there's different triangles and trapezoids that when you're playing inside the instrument that'll shape out that make major and minor chords and stuff. And I think something about that geometry makes sense in my head.
Interesting.
And it sounds beautiful too. The overtones, it's just an incredible instrument.
On your, I think it's your IG bio, music and food are my passions.
Yes.
The dream is to pay my bills with the two.
Yes.
Food, like preparation?
Yes, so I've just always been, the bad way to look at it is like the backup plan. A lot of people that go into music are told by, a lot of people like, well, what are you going to do really for money? So food was one of the things that I did a lot. I went to culinary school for a little bit in the Culinary Institute of America over here in Overland Park. Okay. I did a summer program there, and it was just never really what I wanted to do. I was just good at it and really liked it. It's very similar to food or to music with the art form and just being able to mix ingredients and find what's good. And I like different cultures of food. But even now in 2020, when the COVID whole thing hit and everything was shut down, obviously a lot of music venues were shut down. So I started doing a meal prep service that I do for, it was more people back then. I've got one guy that I do it steadily with now who runs KC Tool. KC Drum is where I work. KC Tool, my buddy Derek is one of the owners out there, and he just still regularly gets food from me. So I deliver on Mondays and Wednesdays. So that's a way I still make money with food to supplement everything that I'm doing. But the main goal is all the music. I've worked with 4 school districts this semester alone. And
Really?
I don't work in schools, I just fill in doing musicals and pop concerts with their choirs. Or Steel Pan with a choir with Grand Valley last year.
Missouri side, all of the school?
Olathe North was last night.
Okay. So, nice. Nice. Very cool. So have you logged some hours in the restaurant industry as well?
I worked, I was probably a butcher for 8 years. So that's kind of that. And then 10 years I was working for Jimmy John's, different franchises. That's when I moved out to Philadelphia in 2017, right after I graduated college, to start building steel pans with Kyle Dunleavy out there. The side job I was working was Jimmy John's, and I was able to take the stuff I had from here working for a long time and take that right over there and work.
Nice.
And then I worked in a cheesecake factory for a little bit as a line cook and stuff like that.
Really?
And,
How was that?
Not fun.
I mean,
not nearly as fun as music. They don't even know what breaks are. I remember it was my first week, and I hadn't been a line cook for a long time. I'd just been doing a lot of Jimmy John's, and I was a marketing director for Jimmy John's and stuff. And I got to do the line cook, and I was like, you got an 8-hour shift today. We'll see if you can stay till close. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Could I take a break in the middle? And they're like, what? I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to work for me. That doesn't compute from my side of things.
Wow.
It's a fast pace. I respect the guys that are in it. It's just definitely not what I'm built for. Music is my passion, so I've had to find a way to make
keep leaning in that direction, because restaurant industry
it's rough. Those people are in it 100% of the time. That's what they do forever.
Yeah, and it will if you're not. I mean, I don't want to say it'll break your soul, but it'll
break your back though.
It'll break your. I was going to say it'll break your body if you do it long enough. So. How long was the Culinary Institute program?
So that was a summer program, and I ended up getting top of class, and they offered a scholarship and everything, but it was a situation where they offered a scholarship. It was like $20,000, and I was like, oh, that's great. And then I found out it was about $60,000 a year to go there, and I was like, I don't think I can do that.
Very cool. So are you born and raised in the area?
Yes, Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. I was born on the Kansas side.
Okay.
Raised in the Missouri side.
Cool. You have siblings?
Yes, there's a whole bunch of us.
Whole bunch of you?
By full blood, my same mother and father is my sister Kayla, and then I have my brother Antonio and Jasmine from a different mother, and then Lavelle is another brother of mine from another different mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any idea how your mom and dad met?
Actually, I don't remember how they met. I believe it was just out and about.
Out and about?
They were young. So, yeah, I think it was, back in the day before phones. So they were hanging out and partying, and they found each other.
Yeah. Now, under the roof or roofs that you're raised in, are either of them or both of them putting on music to listen to?
So, yeah, it was definitely a musical home. My mother was a pianist, so I learned keys at like 3 or 4 years old.
Dang.
And she taught me that. I actually was in the show choir. I went to the same high school as her,
Okay.
so she sang in the show choir, and I was also in that show choir years later. My father wasn't ever in music, but a huge music fan.
Okay.
So there's like, I mean, my lullabies were all the Marley albums and just really good music. They had me in classical and jazz music, so that was what sparked a huge love for jazz early on.
Cool.
And then on my dad's side of the family, there aren't a lot of professional musicians, but it is a huge part of all of our get-togethers. We'd have like block parties, and part of it is like doing karaoke and playing with full bands and having a good time. So I've always been surrounded by music, and it crept its way into my career.
So Marley's being played in the home or sung, or any other artists or albums that you can recall?
A lot of gospel music. Okay. My mother was also she was a white lady who was also the director of music at a black church. So she was with the gospel and everything. Great keys player. So a lot of that music also.
Cool.
Kirk Franklin, Mary. Just a lot of the old classic gospel tunes.
What about live music? Did you see live music as a young person? Any memories?
Yes and no, not as much at concerts, but like I said, we had those block parties and people were playing drums and playing guitar. So I got to see music being played live, just not in the traditional setting people would mostly see it.
Yeah.
I think my first real concert was I want to say 7 or 8 years old, and it was like that percussion group Stomp that uses like trash cans and brooms and stuff like that. Yeah.
Where?
Crown Center or something like that here in town.
Fun.
Yeah.
Nice. So where is the trajectory of your musicianship born? What's that first light bulb or...
So definitely I always just like tinkering with things. My mom had me in piano lessons when I was young. We couldn't afford to do them for too long, but she also knew a little bit, so she could teach me as we went. But then I remember specifically it was in Target. I'm always hitting things and like playing on the shelves and things as I walk through the store. And she told me, she was like, "We're getting you drum lessons because I'm tired of you hitting everything." And then I got drum lessons. I had to carry around a giant, huge snare case, big plastic snare case, twice my size, and a xylophone or a little glockenspiel case that I still have to this day.
Nice.
And I had to learn those and had private lessons for a little bit, but then just got into the schools. And I was in Kansas at the time. They started in 5th grade. So I was able to start a band in 5th grade and start with a glockenspiel and snare drum and a few things like that. And I remember making some in middle school in the Olathe school systems. They would pick students to come play with the high schools, and I remember getting to do that, and I really liked that experience. Cool. So I think it just kind of started from there. Played in a parade, I think, that year as well, and I was still only like 10 years old, so really about that age sparked it up.
Have you heard, I've never been 100% sure how to pronounce this, but Moita or Mute, it's Meute.
Yes.
They're a German.
Yes.
You've seen these guys?
Yes, the saxophone player.
Well, it's like a whole 11-ish piece.
Yeah, that's what sticks out is that saxophone player because he uses a lot of weird extended techniques.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
A lot of like doop, 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 like little like chopping the reed sounds.
Yeah. So they're a German marching band with red coats and at least 3 saxes, a trumpet. Mm-hmm. They've got a dude that wears is it a bass or a
drum?
Kick? Okay, are they the same thing, bass and kick?
Yeah, it's colloquial. It's kick drum if you use it on the floor technically, and those ones are built for that. Yeah.
And then 2 different dudes that wear portions of kits, and then a dude that has a xylophone.
Yeah.
And they marching, but they play techno. I mean, their YouTube rabbit hole is a lot of fun. And they tour, but they also, some of those videos, they just like show up somewhere in public.
Those are the best.
And all of a sudden, they've got like 150, 200 people around them just digging it.
Those are the best shows.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So before we were rolling, we talked, you got 2 gigs after this today.
I do.
Same outfit? Are you in multiple outfits? Is it all you? Like what?
It's I as myself, like Marcus Rattler Music is kind of a thing that I run under, but I work a freelance percussionist is kind of a way to put it. I am classically trained. I went to school. I have a degree and all that. But a lot of times the next step is to go work for a school or university. And I didn't necessarily want to do that. I really enjoy performing, and I specifically really love steel pan and would like to build a community for it here in Kansas City that doesn't require a huge amount of payment. Anywhere around here, the long-term goal is to build a panorama. But
which means
a huge competition for steel pan. They have them in the United States. It's in Trinidad. It's their national thing that they do once a year. And they have, there's one in Brooklyn, there's one in Miami, there's a couple in California. I believe there's one in Texas. There's nothing in the central United States because they're very poor people. When they get here, they don't have money to move inland. They just fly in and they pretty much land there. Yeah. It's a lot in Brooklyn, a lot in Miami. And so I'd like to build that. And specifically around here, I mean, NIU, Northern Illinois University, is the biggest steel pan school. Actually, the only place in the world where you can get a steel pan degree. And the KU had a steel band, MU has one, Nebraska has one, Oklahoma, Truman State. So we're a central area for all these places to come and perform and show up the thing. But remind me of the first question. I got so excited.
No, you're good. You're good. 2 gigs.
Yes. So today,
different outfits, all you.
Last year I played with 60 different groups.
60?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's, different schools. Like I did the one off with Olathe North this year doing a Pops concert. I did that with them last year. Sometimes it's just a rock band that needs a fill-in. There's a blues band, FLS, that I play with regularly. My band, Legerdemain, is recording our first album this year. We've been together about 2 years.
Spell that for me, please.
Legerdemain. We were going to change the name. We decided we just got to get so good everyone knows how to spell it and say it.
Legerdemain. What's the origin story of that name?
So the name is basically, in layman's terms, ambidextrous. And it comes kind of from the School of Wizardry. It's French as well. But in the School of Wizardry, it means you can cast magic with both hands, different magic at the same time. So like fire with one hand, ice with the other.
Sure.
And this comes from a piece that I played in college for my senior recital called Legerdemain by Ivan Trevino. In the piece, I play vibraphone with my left hand and put my left foot on the vibraphone pedal, and then I play drum set with my right hand and my right foot, and it sounds like 2 people playing, and that's the whole point of it.
Cool.
So that was a big part of it, and we have a lot of songs where my keys player is also a master cellist and can play bass, so he played keys and bass at the same time while we do. I have a hybrid setup that I use with my steel pan attached to my drum set, so I play steel pan and drum set at the same time. So that's the big push for that one.
A rock or a reggae band or whatever needed just a traditional drummer, you could jump. Okay,
that's what I come from generally. I came up in the blues scene in Kansas City specifically, so most of the time I'm not playing with my steel pan. That's the goal, is to really be pushing it into a lot of things.
So how many pieces of gear would you say you have? Dozens?
Oh yeah.
It
really depends on the show. If I'm at, like tonight, we're playing a Lotawana Brewing Company, and it's been indoors. I'm booking for there right now, and we've been indoors until today. We're going outside, so I'm bringing out like the big hit. I've got a bass drum, 2 toms, a snare drum, sometimes a second snare drum, 3 cymbals, and then I've got my steel pan. And then the steel pan I run with a contact pickup through a pedal board that sends it to an amplifier. Wow. And then I also provide the PA for my band. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff, but it's all worth it all the time.
Heck yeah. So drumming gigs.
Yes.
Legerdemain.
Yes.
And then
today is also going to be, I'm playing with KC Steel Orchestra.
Okay.
It's a little group of Kansas City steel players that are getting together, and we're doing that at North Kansas City Baptist.
Wow.
And that's once a year, twice a year or so.
Right on.
Perform with them, and then all kinds of groups, schools, universities. I was just the guest artist at Truman State last Friday. Played at MU with one of my mentors, Liam Teague, and some other folks for a steel pan day out there a month ago or so.
Cool.
So yeah, it's just a lot of one-offs, a lot of figuring out where I can fit in. I teach as well, both in the home and out of Casey Drum.
Cool. Where's Casey Drum?
95th and Antioch, I want to say.
Okay, cool. So your content on TikTok,
yes.
So before we get into that, relatively speaking, is your setup laborious? I mean, I know if you're playing a gig with a band and you got to set up your drum kit and break it down. I have an idea of what that is like.
Mm-hmm.
Doing all these other things. Is any of it easy? Is it all pretty meticulous?
I'm used to it, so I would say it's probably not that easy. But people ask me sometimes, they're like, "Oh, do you really love doing this?" I'm like, I carry around this stuff all the time. Some people don't want to take a pen to work. I carry around 60, 70 pounds of stuff. So I do enjoy gigs like this afternoon when I just take my pan in. No electronics either. That was another big step, is when I started adding the contact pickup and running it through a pedal board. Is now on top of my pan. I've got to bring the contact pickup itself, which is an expensive small piece that I got to carry around. 2 cables, the pedal board, the power cord for that, the amplifier, and a couple other things just to make sure that's all set up. So that's like a whole nother bag of things I need to take. But yeah, shows like today, it's great. I'm going to just take my pan. I can carry it in with 2 hands, and I don't have to make multiple trips.
That's what I'm seeing on most of your content, right?
Yes.
Is you playing pan like
yes, and then also the mix up. Yeah, I've done a few.
No, I've seen some in venues.
It's been a cool mix of them. I actually, so my band Legerdemain went to Deadwood, South Dakota. It's the sister city to Sturgis. Sturgis is the big biker city.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they have Sturgis Week and everything. Yeah, Deadwood is their sister city, where the story of Wild Bill, that guy, the old mythological man from Wild West.
Yeah.
That's where he was murdered, that old saloon number 10. So we've been playing up there. We got a week up there, and I actually took that pan. I have an incredible cart, and drug my pan up a mountain, was able to play some pan up in the mountains.
Wow.
Just really far up there. Cool. It was a really great cart. I'm going to talk to them about getting some advertisement.
So some of the content that is outdoors, it the POV, if you will, is like kind of above or behind you.
Yes, I like to try and get my hands a lot, because the number one question most panists get is like, what are you doing on the other side of that? Because people only see a giant metal bowl.
Yeah.
And I've been asked all kinds of things. People think I have a keyboard in there, and that's just a setup for me to play keys inside of it. But yeah, it's and most people are also familiar with hand pans or hang pans, which are the opposite. So the hand pan is convex, where it's a big bubble on top, and the steel drum is concave, with convex bubbles on it. And the hand pans are locked into a key or a chord. They don't have chromatic structure. You can't play anything on them. They're locked into specific things. And then the steel pan, I have 27 notes, and I can play chromatically 2.5 octaves. So I can play literally any song. I might have to do some octave displacement, but I still have the ability to play any song in any key.
So in this content, this is the POV. What do you have just like a
just tripod? A phone tripod?
Okay.
So I carry 2 phones.
That was my next question, because it would seem to me that if you are recording a bunch of content on your phone, that you're going to be very quickly out of memory. I don't.
So this phone is my old phone. Instead of like doing upgrades whenever I have like an upgrade time, I just pay it off the phone. And this is one of the last issues of the Samsung that has an SD card slot. So I just threw a terabyte SD card in here, and I set up the tripod and let it run. And then later on, I'll just chop, a couple minutes out of it and then delete the hour or two. I don't worry about it as much anymore.
Okay.
But I do release daily videos. That's the main idea behind that.
Yeah. We're counting, like we're in the 400s.
462 was today.
Is that straight?
Straight days. Every day.
Seriously?
I've released some video of percussion or learning tool or something in type. Yeah, at least one video. Some days it's been 3 or 4 because I need to get rid of stuff from my phone.
Yeah. Do you have a go-to spot or spots if you're setting up outdoors? Or
no, it's usually just whatever gig. If it's an outdoor gig, I'll just set up and then just take the video, and then because that's the main thing, is letting people see. People see steel pan and usually immediately think, oh, you guys are a reggae band, right? Or they think it's island music. So specifically, we only play one reggae band or one reggae song, and it is an original that I still haven't even written down because I'm that reluctant to play the exact thing people want to hear. But what I want to do is play music people are really familiar with on pan, get them familiar with it. People will start realizing how much, show the people what they don't know they want.
Right.
And then once they start realizing how much they love pan, I can start getting, a lot of the community behind me, because a lot of the schools will even work with me, but they want me to buy all the pans. And that's a $30,000 to $50,000 investment, which I'm fully willing to make. I just have to get there, and part of that will be getting the community behind me and them seeing that they want it, and then I can get grants and get things from the community.
The school wants you to buy the pans, and then they belong to the school?
No, they will employ me and my pans to teach the children.
Oh, okay.
Or the the high schoolers or whatever it is. Yeah,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, they don't want to buy the stuff, but they're absolutely all for doing it. So,
well, if you could get to a spot where we're cash rich, you could probably write that off if you had an LLC.
Oh yeah, that's right? The entire idea
Okay.
is to build it like a Marcus Rattler Music. I plan on making an LLC this year so that I can have a business account to do things out of and run that. It won't be a 501c3 or anything, but it'll be something that when I make deductions and everything, I can go ahead and buy things and make them business purchases, and it's not attached to my name specifically.
Yeah, the trick is just finding that money and not letting it interfere with your life.
Yes. So I'm still working on it because I'm also one big thing that I think will help is I'm hoping, my son's 2 right now, so I can't do a lot of moving around, but I get my pan tuned up at NIU, Northern Illinois University, by Yuko Asada. Pan tuning is a very fine craft, and there's a handful of them in the United States.
Wow.
So I have to drive up to Chicago is the closest place to really get it done. And I'm lucky that I know the people up there, and it's nice, and I can have a good time while I'm there instead of just driving up there to drop off a pan.
How often does that have to happen?
This was 2 years is the last time I did it, and it's not awful. If you don't play it crazy heavy or anything, it's not bad. It just they call it blending. Sometimes the pan sings with itself in a different way, and as you hit it, notes can be a little more dead or anything. But the thing I'd like to learn is tuning specifically to be able to, once I buy the pans, then I can tune them and I don't have to bring somebody in. I'd like to learn to build all the way. I learned a little bit with Kyle Dunleavy for a while, but never got all the way through it.
Sure.
But
if you were able to foster this community and learn how to tune, then maybe someday somebody's paying you to tune theirs.
Exactly. That's the whole goal, is to create the entire community. It's a huge 20-year, 25-year goal. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is that there will be a pan culture in Kansas City that incorporates all of the Midwest.
Very cool.
And I mean, the culture itself, just being in it, it's the greatest musical experience I've ever had in my life, going down there to play Panorama. I've been down to Trinidad twice to play in there. And yeah, it's...
You have to take gear with you?
No, because down that's Trinidad, so there's pans everywhere.
I mean...
They're all, So I just, I was lucky enough, so when in college, Dr. Michael Bump was my teacher. Liam Teague, who is world-renowned, hands down the best pan player, no question, teaches at NIU, came to my school for a guest spot. We played with him. He offered for me to go down to Trinidad with him to play with the band that he was arranging music for. So 2 separate years, I stayed for a month down in Trinidad and fully immersed in the culture, 8 to 12 hours of steel pan a day.
Dang.
The first year I even made the front lines, so I was able to play steel pan at the pinnacle of steel pan, and it was the best experience, best musical experience. I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. It's just...
What's I know nothing. Where is it? What's
it's
the
the
language?
southernmost island in the Caribbean islands.
Okay.
2 islands technically, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. And it is English speaking, but they are multiracial by nature. So the kids today are just beautiful beige mixes of everything both.
Sure.
But the 5 nationalities that make it up are Indian, Chinese, French, Spanish, and African. So there's small subsects in the city that are those cultures.
Oh, wow.
There's an Indian town and African and there's the shops and food that are very specific to those cultures. And then as you get in between, it all just fuses together, and it's cool. Incredible. It's
chill? Do people get along?
Oh yeah, it's a very it's not a rich country. They're a poor country. They're not third world, but they're a poor country. It's a lot of no AC isn't as popular. It's more a open air windows and everything. ACs will be in rooms shut off and type of thing. But it's the music and everything. The culture behind the music is incredible. People pan is everywhere and part of daily life. And even the pan's taught in schools. We learn recorders, they learn pan. And then the steel pan yards where people practice are regular places for people to go hang out and just listen and enjoy. And
nice.
It's not a performance. They're just listening to the practices happen, and they enjoy that. So yeah, it's
2 times a month. You've spent a month
Two
there?
times, yes. I've spent a month down there.
That's a chunk.
It is.
Were you homesick? Were you sad to leave? Was it a mix of both?
It was definitely a mix of both, but I felt at home there, too.
Cool.
They're very welcoming. I stayed with some people that, I could call and go back down today and have a spot, and they cooked me great food. They taught me some recipes that I have that I still make to this day. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience. It can be dangerous at nighttime and alone type of thing, but like
what shenanigans, people up to
prostitutes and things like that, pimps on the corners and stuff like that occasionally, but not super frequent and not like there's that. I was walking home at 3 a.m. from Pan Yard, so kids aren't doing that.
French and African, I would have guessed.
Yes.
Chinese.
That's from the slave trade that were dropped off specifically. Wow. Them and the Indians and the Africans.
And then
the Spanish and French were the ones trading and doing slave trade. And
so wild, like how
the other side
and
of the
where
world.
people wind up because of shit that other people were doing. Mm-hmm. It's bonkers.
That's what Pan is the most pure form of recycling. A bunch of people dropped a bunch of oil drums on a beach, and now it is their number one export and the youngest, to my knowledge, major instrument. And it's just, it's beautiful and not known well enough.
Huh. So tell me again, you said when there's time for an update on your phone, you do what?
Oh, so, well, it's not an update. So instead of, like when you buy a phone, you're paying monthly on it or whatever. Normally you can get an upgrade. Instead of upgrading the phone, I just pay the phone off, so I own it outright. Okay. So now even, like, this doesn't have service. It doesn't have a phone number or anything. This is just a brick that I use for Wi-Fi. Okay. And then all the videos and photos are put on here, and then I just Facebook, TikTok, YouTube from this phone mostly. I'll use this phone if I need to, or if I want a better shot. This is my phone, with my number. This is my laptop.
So you're accessing socials on there, so that's why you need Wi-Fi?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So those, they pick up in the, there you go. When you've recorded some content and you're home or wherever, and it's time to, how much time are you spending preparing that?
Too much. I'd rather be practicing. Right. It is a part of the thing now. I say it all the time, especially when I go to high schools. I'm like, you guys don't know this, but we live in a weird world now, so I have to ask you to go, please check out my YouTube. Please look at my TikTok. That's how you get gigs now. I mean, people... Yeah, it's way easier to get a gig if I tell someone I have 1,000. I'm not there. I have like 650 almost on YouTube. Okay, but like, things like that. People just look at numbers and they'll book you. I know, and it doesn't matter the content necessarily. And I specifically I haven't really changed anything I've done. I just want to make sure I'm doing the thing I'm doing. I'm trying not to be like, I don't do any of the cheesy like trends and stuff that they do to try. I just post a video a day of some percussion. The idea behind specifically these daily videos was I saw a kid playing guitar, and it was an old beat up one, and he was like 8 years old or something. He's like, I'm playing a guitar every day until Gibson sends me one. They ended up sending him a guitar. No shit. So this is me. Tech N9ne, I'm a big fan of his. Yeah. So the beginning of this is I need to put another explanation video out, but it's every day I'm just putting out a video until I get to work with Tech N9ne in some fashion or form. Very cool. And then I've even told people, they've asked like, oh, so what do you do then? Like, the daily videos won't stop. It'll just be a new reason. So I'll just find a new person or a new reason. That's daily videos until this happens. So
are we counting towards something or just documenting?
It's just every day until I get a phone call or email from Tech N9ne saying he wants to.
That's literally what we're counting to.
So it might be never. So it might be 5,000, and that's fine.
He seems.
Oh yeah, no, he seems like a cool guy.
He gets connected with folks.
Yeah, right? And a lot of the KC dudes too. So I mean, it's both things. Like it would be great, but I also that's not the sole motivation behind it. I'm posting the daily videos, the algorithm and thing. That's good for that and everything.
So Marcus.Rattler.music on TikTok, at Marcus Rattler on Instagram. I didn't mention the YouTube. Thank you for doing that. What is it? Just Marcus Rattler Music?
Search Marcus Rattler Music. I think it's like Marcus Rattler 1229 or something like that, because I made it like 15 years ago and then actually started posting 2 years ago. Nice. So
nice. When I got this thing off the ground, at some point, this is back when 3 minutes was the ceiling on TikTok. Right. But I was chopping up. I mean, to edit any of these conversations is a chunk of time, and then put in the intros and blah blah blah, and
yes,
put it to all the places.
Yeah, 3 minutes is 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I was doing 5 TikToks per episode, and I just fly. I mean, I got going, and then I ran out of steam. I was like, I can't keep giving the time. But so your phone with the card, when I am setting up to do one of these, I plug an SD card in, and then I have to format it, and then shut it down, plug it into here, and then when it's time for the next one, I do it again. So you're wiping the card every time. Is that what you have to do too?
So no, I have I check it by. I'm sure there's a smarter way to check it, but I just turn on the video camera, and it either will tell me, it'll say all zeros, or it'll say how much time out of less than an hour. So if there's less than an hour left on the SD card, it'll tell me, and it'll tell me how much time I have left to record. So then I'll just be like, okay, tonight I got to chop a bunch of stuff up in here. And so I've still got stuff in there from 4 or 5 months ago probably.
Sure.
But then there's time. There's a couple big videos on there that I really need to get to. There was a piece that we did called Odyssey, ODDYSEA. It was an all improv piece that me and my key/cellist Daniel Young, YUNG, and my good friend Robert Castillo, also known as Blob Castle, is a great bassist and artist, sculptor. He some of his work's been in Spain. He lived out in Spain for a while.
Folks I need to see about how
I will connect them with you. Cool. They're incredible artists. And yeah, Robert is specifically paints, does sculpture. He's an incredible bassist. But for this, we had him paint a piece while we played it's 2 hours. We didn't pay any plan. We didn't talk about it. We just, let's go into it and do the thing. So yeah, that's a big chunk of something I got to chop out of here.
Okay.
But those are things, whenever I have that, other than that, it's just, I record a set at a show that I play, and then I'm like, oh, I remember we played this thing, or I'll chop it, and maybe one of my favorite things to do is my bassist will look at me when he really loves something I did, so I'll just scan through the video until I see his face, and then I'll cut whatever's around that.
Saving time.
Yeah.
So I've been putting these out mostly every week for a little over 3 years, and
excellent.
Often, somebody I know or a perfect stranger will be like, "You gotta do this," or your search engine optimization is this, that, and blah blah blah. Here, or we can get you 10,000 followers. Just constantly, and recently I've had some people reach out and they're like, I came across your show and your episode with Marcus Rattler really inspired me, the way that he, pulling very specific, it feels like an AI thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Reddit or whatever. And then they're just, and they all want you to do something that typically involves giving them some of your money.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't, thanks. To the ones that are genuine, I'm like, thanks to the ones that are whatever, just ignore those. But it's like, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to have the conversations with the people. I'm going to document it. I'm going to put it up there. And if nothing ever happens,
right.
I met a lot of cool people and had a lot of great conversations. If something, whatever, I don't even know what it would be, would happen, also cool. But I am at capacity in terms of money or time that I could give to the thing.
Right.
So, and I'm totally cool with that. Especially, you need to have more traffic, you need to have more views, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, why do you think that this is marketable? This isn't, I'm not selling a product. I'm only talking to folks, for the most part, that are in the KC area. I do no virtuals, so it's not like I could sign or get some big name person to do an episode with me, because they're not here,
Right.
So I guess the point of all that is I'm a big fan of the love of the game being the engine that drives what you do. Now for you definitely, you want to make this your life. So you they've got to figure out a way to get to build it, to get some money coming in, and just keep blowing,
Yes.
fanning the flame as it goes. So let's see here. We talked about the days. We talked about chopping up. Really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you being here and sharing a list with me. A little bit of a different approach in terms of not specific albums, but a few artists whose approach to music you like.
Yes.
So I want to touch on those real quick. Jonathan Scales.
Yes.
Let's see here. Steel drummer out of San Francisco. 3 records as a solo artist and 5 with the Forchestra.
Yes.
And shouts out to Rope-A-Dope Records. I'm a giant dork when it comes to record labels that I think are cool.
Well, that's cool.
Based on, because they have artists that I like, or they have a cool logo or whatever. He has released he released his first 4 records with Rope-A-Dope. Tell me about this cat and how he made his way into your life.
So Jonathan Scales is doing pretty much what I would like to be doing. He's playing his music. He's playing crazy, crazy programmatic jazz. A jazz that's telling a story with crazy time signatures, crazy licks. It's just like incredible, virtuosic type of music with great players. His bassist is incredible. His drummer is incredible. The people he surrounds himself with. He's played with Victor Wooten before, and Bela Fleck.
Nice.
And, he's just a really great player, and the way he writes music is not the traditional 1-4-5 or anything like that. It's interesting chords, and it is things where if you close your eyes, you can see the story that he's trying to tell. And that is really, I love writing music like that. Legerdemain is in the middle of our first album right now.
Yeah.
And there's songs that I wrote specifically inspired by some of the ways that he does things. And
who all's in Legerdemain?
So Legerdemain is myself on steel pan, drums, and vocals. And then we have Daniel Young on keys and cello. He's all going to be on an 83 Rhodes on the album we found for him to play, so that's going to be sounding nice. Yes.
That sounds like
good, classic,
Moog.
beautiful sounds. Yeah.
Like
what Moog does, pretty much. Yeah. The original version of that, the analog version of that.
I've always said Moog.
I'm a Moog man. That's how I say it.
Pronunciation. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah.
And then we have on bass Mr. Andrew Vogesser, 2 G's and 2 S's. He's the baby. He's 23.
Okay.
Daniel's 33. I'm 32.
You're just outing everybody with their age.
Oh yeah, because I'm used to being the baby, especially playing with jazz for a long time. I've been the young one in the group because I was in my 20s playing jazz, and it's a bunch of older guys and ladies playing jazz.
Sure.
And now it's exciting to see someone a decade younger than me schooling me in harmony and melody. He wrote a crazy linear bass line, like solid 16th notes for like 16 measures in a row. 2 days took him to write and perfect. It was crazy. So that's Andrew Vogesser on bass. He plays upright and he plays electric. Nice. He's at UMKC right now for a master's on bass. And then we have Zach.
Rays.
Yeah. And then we have.
Sorry, I don't know who Truman State's.
No, that's all right with the Bulldogs. But I'm Doc. Doc is the reason. Okay. Truman State is.
Yeah.
They're okay, but Dr. Bump is the reason. Okay. And then on guitar is Zach Arias. He plays with all kinds of people. To give you an example of how wanted he is, he's played 12 gigs 2 weekends ago. He had between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The man had 12 gigs.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and he's chosen Legerdemain to be his home. So I'm very lucky.
Nice.
I get to create with these guys that are playing all over. Yes, 4 is the core. Okay. The idea is that the band will be. My favorite thing that anyone has said to me is the wonderful Nick Marshall of the Cowardly Lions here in town. He's the one who sent us up to Deadwood. But he looked at me very sincerely one day and he said, "I hope you have an orchestra one day." And I was like, that is exactly... He doesn't even know that I'm trying to build a steel orchestra. That's literally what it's called, is a steel pan orchestra, steel orchestra. So Legerdemain is 4 of us. The album will feature other people as well.
Anybody on vocals?
Me.
Okay.
So if we do mostly instrumental music, but then if we have a pop song that we wrote specifically to like slide that into radio stations, and then people get onto the album, and they're like, "Why isn't there any more vocals?" And like, it's a trap. That's why. So doing a little bit of that just to get the attention, but we still like to do it whenever we can. And then I have Natalie Bates is going to sit in, is a good friend of mine. She plays with Grand Marquis and a few others. I think Casual Animal Brewing Company she's messed with.
I think I've messaged her.
She's a great artist.
Yeah.
I'll try to connect you guys too. And we got I have a sousaphone player, a saxophone player.
There's a sousaphone player in that
Yes. There's something about those that old bass. Yeah, they get down. They have breath support like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So I plan on doing an old traditional Pan in A minor, which is like a huge. It was one of the big songs for Pan. Like they were playing Shostakovich and Bach and all those things.
Wow.
To help legitimize Pan in Western culture. This was one of the first pieces that was written like an orchestra piece specifically for steel pans.
Nice.
So it's a big piece that I would like to incorporate on my album.
I love that person said that to you about having. I hope you have an orchestra. That's just whenever, even just saying a phrase that like breathes positive wind into the sail that is your dream. I love that.
Nick Marshall is a positive wind.
Chuck Mangione.
Yes.
Somebody had Live at the Hollywood Bowl as an album on one of their lists, and so that, and then there's Sinatra with Count Basie's orchestra in Vegas that was on a list, and I mean just so many people.
Yeah,
and like the idea of not having one of those people that runs late or flakes or whatever,
just a bunch of powerhouses,
just to get them to the place to practice or the venue, whatever. And then how do you pay all those people?
That's the biggest thing. Is the reason Legerdemain is only 4 right now is because I can't pay. If I could pay, it would be a full orchestra already.
Sure.
And I've had even guys talk to me about wanting to sit in. I'm like, the only reason I'm not bugging you is because I will not. Even 100 is still too low, but I will never ask anybody to do a gig for less than $100 if I'm in charge of it.
Hey, $100
I've had
nothing
ones
to sneeze at.
Right. It's still the only thing is it was the same for about the last 30 years. It's been $100 for a gig. So
good thing inflation has never changed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's to circle it all the way back to Jonathan Scales. It's just that the way of creating, you put yourself in a situation with people that will do nothing but put you in the right direction. And Legerdemain's been going for 2.5 years now. We started 2022, and I had a guitarist before. I had a bassist who quit on my birthday last year.
Oh, damn!
And it's
Both
been
of them?
no, the guitarist left a while before that. We were a trio for some time, and then but Daniel Young has been my number one through the whole thing, and we've continuously just head down, keep creating originals, keep writing more charts. Now I have a huge book of all my handwritten originals and arrangements, and just in the last 6 or 7 months, maybe 8 months now, we picked up the guitarist and the bassist. The guitarist I actually met a year and a half ago on a way to Canada to play a blues festival for a Playboy Bunny. That's a real sentence.
Been around, man.
Whenever I see Facebook is a business tool. Anytime I see, hey, we need something, I'm one of the first guys to always get in there, either my band or anything. That's another great thing about Legerdemain is they're all very well trained classically. So if people want like a 40s show, we can learn that stuff up and I can sing and we can do that. If people want a backup band for their R&B, they have only tracks that they've been using and want a band to sing to, we've done that too, where we'll fill in and we'll learn your songs and we'll play for you so you have a real band or something like that.
Nice.
So the Legerdemain is going to be an all-encompassing, hopefully, group where I can, have a huge family of musicians where I'm like, what do we need? Does this gig pay for a duo? Does it pay for a 9-piece? Can we take the 9-piece? Is it a wedding that can pay for a whole 15-piece orchestra? So Legerdemain, there's probably about 12 to 15 family members, but 4 core members that are continuously gigging regularly.
Is there a website or are there socials?
No, it's just really, there's Legerdemain on Facebook. There's a page for it, but mostly I run everything out of Marcus Rattler Music until I get a whole lot of traction for it, and then I'll start bumping the page a bunch.
Now, when you say that your first album is halfway written, what does the writing process look like? Are you alone putting down the bones and then
it's a little of both.
Okay.
It's very chaotic. I have a whiteboard at home that has just a bunch of numbers and letters written on it that just looks like gibberish. But it's both
like what's his name? Matt Damon.
Yes, exactly that. It is exactly
Good Will Hunting.
Yes, it is just numbers and letters and shapes and things. That is what this is, a whole whiteboard. It's even, I'll flip it upside down so that I can make the difference between it, and then I'll write in between the lines while it's, because it's just, I never want to get rid of the information. It's a lot. But we write together. I write alone. A lot of it is I'll come up with chords. Since I'm a drummer, it's harder to ask people to fill in and play things with me. A guitarist can be like, hey, I need you to keep, a 2/4 beat. I need you to just do 4 on the floor. I have to ask people, hey, I need you to learn these harmonies and these chords and the melody also. So instead of doing that, I write chords, more chords than most people would see, but I don't write a melody. The melody is implied through the chord structure as you play it. So everyone kind of plays it a little bit differently, but the idea is always still there. And now that I've been, what the great thing about having the guitarist and the bassist and the core family is being able to write for that family. Yeah. I couldn't write crazy syncopated lines and then expect every fill-in to just figure out like 12 insane songs that are just like insane, just being like over syncopated and like not normal, does not feel normal. It's definitely to be learned, not just
the line in when Marty gets on stage in Back to the Future? And they're gonna do
I don't remember.
All right, fellas, this one's in 2/4, and try to keep up, and it's like 6 seconds.
Yeah,
one, and I'm like, how would you know what
that? And that's why it's really nice to have the core guys now, and I can start writing for them. So now that we have that,
you get that like when your bass player looks at you.
Yes, those type of things are exactly. There was a day we do a version of Just the Two of Us by Bill Withers, and we have this jam section in the middle of it that goes kind of off into like a spacey jazz jam, and that happened because the guitarist was just playing and he just started falling down some chords, and I was like, "What did you just do?" And he was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Try and do it again." And then he just kind of fiddled around and found it, and now it's like the arrangement of that song. So that happens a lot. We call those happy accidents, where we just do something and they don't know how it happened. We do a cover of Come Together by the Beatles, but we do it like really turned up, deep, grungy blues style, and that happened because the bassist was playing Higher Ground, and I was like, "Are you playing Come Together really fast?" And he was like, "No." And then I was like, "Try to play Come Together really fast." And then we figured it out, and we found out a way.
Very nice.
So those are some of the way the arrangements come about, and then for the songs, I like to take inspiration from different things. A lot of times, I don't believe in writer's block as much. You just have to change the way you're thinking about things. So a lot of the times, one of the rules I like to do is, if I'm not understanding how I'm wanting to do something, I'll just make up arbitrary rules. And then be like for the pop song I wrote, I was like, there can only be 4 chords in this. I need to have a very singable melody for the chorus.
Smart.
And then there needs to be a spot where they can just solo over 2 different chords. And that's what I did. And then that song, came out and it's working really well. Then I have other ones where I've been like, okay, the Meters, a great band from like the 70s and 80s funk band. They have normally a vocalist, but for some reason their biggest song is the Sissy Strut, where there is no vocalist. And the story behind that is he didn't show up that day. They were in the studio, they paid for the time, the vocalist wasn't there. I don't know if he was late or whatever the situation was. He didn't show up to that day, and they recorded Sissy Strut, and it's a huge banger.
God,
so
they wrote so many great
songs. Many good songs.
So many great songs.
And I took that same idea of like prepared unpreparedness. We recorded last Friday, and I completed the song for them on Sunday before that specifically, because I was like, I gave them one riff. There was this 6-tuplet riff that I did, and I was like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to move it a bunch of chords. I'm not sure where the chords are at or where we're going to do it. And then 5 days before we recorded, I was like, here's 9 more chords, and here's how we're going to play this song. And they just took it and ran with it, and it was so great. Cool. So yeah, I just like using different aspects of what random rules can I make up for myself to create something.
It's organized chaos.
Yes, very much so.
There was a band. I don't think I can't find much by them, called Cool Bone in the late 90s, and they covered Bill Withers' "Use Me" and did it better, that's always great. That song is, like cream of the crop. Like it doesn't get anyway. It's just a little grimier, and they've got a dude that raps, and he's not like, his voice is not in the front necessarily of the mix. He just comes. He comes. He's got a real smooth voice, and he comes in and he tells a story about meeting a lady, and it's such a good version of that song. And then Bobby McFerrin. He's got an album also from the late 90s called Circle Songs.
Okay.
You familiar with Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Circle Song, this is a tough thing for me because I repeat, I only have one.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So I say the same shit a lot, but it's always to a new
new
person.
to me.
So, is one of my all-time favorite. I have goosebumps talking about it right now. I believe it's 9 tracks, and it's all vocals, and it's like, I'm pretty sure there's 0 instruments on it, and I don't know how many people are part of it, but there are definitely pieces of each song, like somebody will be going and then another person's going like, and all 9 songs are incredibly different from one another, and together it's like one of the most beautiful things that a human being has ever made, in my mind. It was part of the soundtrack to the birth of my son, who was born in this house.
That's awesome.
That and Anugama, who is like a sort of spiritual chanty meditation didgeridoo, but like
soundscapey. Atmospheric.
Melt you like in a toes in the earth, psychedelic euphoria kind. It's so good. But you got to listen to that Bobby McFerrin record.
I will
before you're 40. We'll say.
Oh no, I've discussed it with other people about like I'm huge in like anthropology and just like the study of music and why it is. I did a dissertation on music and the importance to all life on Earth, not just humans, but all life. And part of that is the voice. There's something about when people can do something, because it's with drumming as well, being one of the most ancient forms of music and expression. Something about if I can do it connects people to it. Not necessarily sing as well as those vocalists do, but something about just vocals, vocal cords resonating, because I think there's something with the human ability to do that immediately. It's different than a trumpet or a saxophone, or even with drums. You're like, I can hit stuff like you. There's something very incarnate and ancient about that.
Sure.
And I think that's why it evokes different emotions. That's why those incredible choirs, like that's why Goosebumps will hit a lot of people. Like right now I'm getting just disgusting it. Musician brain people like us.
Yeah.
But choirs will give most people
I don't
goosebumps.
have any legitimate skills
but
play an instrument.
Active listening is a whole nother skill in itself. And that is, the knowledge thereof is still a huge, huge thing.
The world of TikTok is like indescribably massive and nuanced and quirky and weird, but one thing that is really that TikTok has really tuned me into, birds. And I'm just like, feed me bird content and I'm probably lost for 40 minutes. Like, oh shit. But
ornithology is a great tune.
If you haven't seen it, I'm going to say it now so that I remember to send it to you later. I just came across it a couple weeks ago. There's a gal, and she's pretty cute. She's outside with an acoustic guitar. I think this is a thing that she does. She just goes out and plays a little bit.
I've seen this, and then the bird starts tweeting in key. Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, that's awesome. I recognize these type of things because I hunted with my grandfather. He's from Kentucky when I was young. So he used to do bird calls when I used to recognize specific areas in Missouri because I would be like, oh, I know that bird from 5 o'clock in the morning in a tree.
Yeah. That shit. I literally was picking my jaw up off the floor, and I opened it to distract myself from something that I should have been doing. And then I was like, all right, I got to put this away for a minute. And I saved it and showed it to my son. And when I was watching it with him, I was like tearing up. I mean, it's nuts.
That was the whole thing about my my big paper so it was I want to say it was even for my Latin class specifically, because I went to a liberal arts school, so they made me take all kinds of stuff. And I was like, well, Latin's and music, I'll at least do that for my and that was the importance of music to all life on earth. And part of it was like, it's the reason a bird call knows another bird. It's the reason you know it's your mom behind you and not some stranger. And it's the reason, like, you recognize emotion through pitch and volume. Like, there's all kinds of reasons that the voice is just there. Music is innately in everything. There's a resonance to everything, and people just don't realize how much that is. Like, I tell my students all the time, drumming is just air math. We're just figuring out there's a precise place to put all the sound waves, and you figure out where to put them.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think of it that way, but the people that are the best musicians are the people that find that point between math and feeling.
Yeah.
And they find out how to use math to make you feel.
I love that. Yeah. Last thing hopefully that I'll say about TikTok is there's so much crazy but the amount of fake accounts
just
and messages,
bot accounts just running,
like it feels like it's
self-sustaining type
like
of...
the field of fetuses growing in the Matrix. Like, it's just as far as you can see, just new accounts are cropping up, and
especially now that AI is going, can just create an image and sounds of things random at anything. Yeah, it's weird.
So Legerdemain's first album is halfway written.
It's fully written. We've recorded 2 songs so far.
That's what I want. Yeah. Like where?
So so I love the family vibe, if you haven't understood that already.
For sure.
Legerdemain's a family, and I wanted to get that idea in the album. So in the album, we will be recording with at least 4 different engineers. One was Castle Studios, is where we started with Vince Orsolini. It was excellent, great time. Zach Arias, our guitarist, works in that studio.
Okay.
It's their house. And then Jalen Ward of the Ward family, incredible young drummer, just 22-year-old who's been shredding. I'm playing a song that he wrote when he was like 15, and it's just insane. He's just an incredible guy. He's going to be playing drums on some tracks and recording for us. I'm going to record at Weights and Measures with Dwayne, the mastermind that everyone in this town goes to.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, we're going to try and lock out a day. That's where we're going to record most of it. Because of his genius and being able to go ahead and sit down and like, okay, let's do 6 songs today. We're doing all these. I'd like to record specifically less tracking as possible. I like to record live feel, meaning like instead of sitting down with a metronome and everyone records their parts separately, I like to everyone sit down, we play it live, and that's what goes on the track. Yeah. Because you can really get that emotion from each other and feel. And
I could never own and operate a recording studio, because if I at all liked what you're doing, I would have a hard time charging you, unless I knew that you guys came from money.
I know what you mean,
but it'd be like,
no, this is awesome. People need to hear this.
Yeah, this on the house.
I understand that fully, because there's someone has said the phrase to me when I talked about, because I'm in the middle of getting a bunch of musicians to play this, and I was like, I really want to make sure I'm paying people right, and like, I don't know, like, do I offer a certain amount first? And one of the best things one of the old heads told me, was like, just ask, and if people like you, they'll just play for you. You charge people you don't like. And then I found out real quick. I was like, oh, wow. Because there's a lot of people I asked. They're like, when and where?
Thank goodness that dude said that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was a really eye-opening to me. Because I was like, I was just trying to be super nice.
So the first 2, and then Weights and Measures, and then the 4th is?
Let's see. Weights and Measures, Vince Orsolini. Then. It might just be the 3. I'm leaving somebody out. No, Bo Osborne is a buddy of my keys player who has a studio who just records for fun. So he's actually going to do us pro bono because he has a regular gig 9 to 5. So we're going to record 1 song with him, and that's going to be the one that we're tracking, and it's going to be our pop song. I'm going to have a MC friend of mine do a rap over it, Jeff Mason.
So recording in these different spots, is there any risk of the continuity of the thing?
That's something I'm almost relying on. I would like to, if there's differences in the studios that shine specifically, as long as it's not detrimental to the content of what we're creating. Yeah, I love the studio, just like a musician that I hire. I want you to shine. If there's something you do that makes your studio, it wouldn't in any way offend me. Because I want everyone to be seen. And have the, I want it to be
make sure they make it into the liner notes. I mean. give the credit where it's
Yes,
due.
for sure. It's gonna be, I want all the specific names, engineers, what studio it is, what instruments of theirs we used.
Will this thing just live digitally, you reckon?
I think it's special for us, and we're all musicians, so I'd probably like to get some physical copies of some form, even if it's like a goofy looking.
There's plenty of folks
USB special thing, or just even we played KKFI a few weeks ago, and they gave us an awesome USB shaped like a cassette tape.
Nice.
So that was really cool. So yeah, I want to have some type of physical something. I'm getting a logo made finally for the band and everything. Like this is going to be a huge push of like merch and.
Till Willis was just on 5 episodes ago, and he just put out a new album called Glass Cactus, and he found a place in Canada that did a run of 100 vinyl. So I know low minimums are out there.
Yes.
If there's interest funding, like you can you can find them.
Yeah.
That's fun. So if you best guess, when do you think it'll be out?
We're hoping for by the end of October.
No kidding.
Worst case scenario, it'll be spring.
Okay. I mean, these kinds of things to me are like construction.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to open in October of 20.
Exactly.
So August of 2018.
Yeah. The idea is a lot of mostly when people are recording and there is a lot of time to be taken. It's a lot of the mixing and mastering, and my goal is I drill my guys very, like, I have a teacher brain sometimes when it comes to like getting ready for big projects like this. So we drill in rehearsal and practice late and get everything prepared to the point that we're just showing up to the studio to just run it 3 times maybe and then be done. And then as far as mixing and mastering, it just needs a little bit of leveling. Very different than us all playing our different lines one at a time and then having to splice together 19 different tracks. Yeah, the idea is to hopefully be as prepared as possible to where it's almost like a live recording from a show, just recording from the board.
Have you seen Interstellar?
I have not.
Oh my God.
I need to.
It's really, really, really good.
I heard the score is incredible.
Oh, I mean, no better. I mean, it's a commitment. It's 3 hours and like I bristled when you said you don't believe in writer's block. I know you weren't specifically saying you're talking about musical creation.
Yeah, it's a little hard with words.
As a writer, like it exists. There's a scene. So like math and science.
Mm-hmm.
Like after division, after basic operations, I was like, I'm good here. You guys keep doing the algebra and geometry and
calculus
and same physics.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, what do we, I don't get it. Where's the mitochondria? I know I understand that.
Yeah.
So the first time I watched it, I was like mad because I was like, why would they make something where they're expecting, doing my writing program at UMKC, somebody used the analogy that the reader is like a person hiking up a mountain. You can only give them so many things to carry before they check out. So I was like, I can't make sense of any of the science being like, how am I supposed to follow the storyline if I'm so confused at every turn? Eventually, maybe even the next few, I don't know. I think I was just overreacting because they do a really good job of explaining some of the stuff that's happening out there in space, which is just bonkers to me. And so they go to this planet and they're so far away. Mm-hmm. Like it takes them 2 years to get to Saturn, and then they go through a wormhole to a different galaxy. Mm-hmm. So time is
right.
So they get to this planet, and they know ahead of time that every hour they spend on this planet is going to be 7 years back on Earth. And so as they're getting out of the vessel, Matthew McConaughey, his character is the pilot, and he's like, let's go, 7 years every hour. Yeah. It's sort of like somebody once said, in the idea of going into a studio to record your album, you blow a quarter of the budget setting up the drums.
Yeah.
Like you got to have that shit ready.
I'm
get
very
in,
run in. Yeah.
Get out. That's very exciting though. I'm stoked for you guys and
thank you.
Eager to check it out. But it all, in some way.
Very inspired by Jonathan Scales, the way he writes, and specifically it's on steel pan. He plays low E double seconds, so he plays kind of two voices below what I have. The lower you go in steel pans, the more pans one person plays, all the way down to the biggest setup is 9 pans played by one person, full 55-gallon oil drums.
Move around?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just sit.
It's like it's a very, if you see the bass players, it's an active situation. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 55-gallon oil drums, and if it's the big setup, they also are hung horizontal, parallel to the ground, in front of you, 3 of them up in the air.
Is it actually the whole drum? Or
yeah.
Okay.
So the lower you go in voice, the more of what they call the skirt they leave on. You can see, like, on his, they're chopped off.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The lower you go in the voice, the longer that skirt gets for the resonance to hold. So, like, my pan, I play the lead pan, the highest voice, and the skirt's only about that far. But then, the lower you go, and then the bass pans, it's just the oil drum. It's the whole drum.
Wow.
They just sink the top in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Very cool. So beyond Mr. Scales, we've got Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
Yes.
And I was just stealing. None of my printouts here turned out exactly how I envisioned
I've seen
them.
these album covers so many times, it doesn't matter.
9 solo, 24, I think, with the Jazz Messengers from Pittsburgh. So we've swapped coasts. You talked about approach to music, and for even the most rudimentary jazz fan, I know the name Art Blakey, and I think that,
and that's special because he's a drummer. He's not a horn player,
right? I think there's plenty of folks that they've never listened to jazz, they're never going to listen to jazz, and that's fine. But if you look at the population of folks that are not opposed to jazz, or all the way to like huge jazz fans, like most of those folks are going to know that name. Why is that? Like, I don't remember when Art Blakey came into my brain,
right?
But it's been there for decades.
It's just the way, I think he ran a good band. The Messengers were always a powerhouse. He didn't write all the music himself. There were a lot of people that played with him that write as well, but just his approach to music and his swing, his touch, he just made music feel very good. One of my favorite comments anyone's ever said to me at a show, I did not know this person, said, "You listen to a lot of Art Blakey, don't you?" And I was like, yes, I do. Art Blakey and Elvin Jones specifically are 2 of my favorite drummers, and I get that also from Carl Allen, who teaches at UMKC right now. Incredible drummer. His teachers and huge inspirations, Art Blakey and Elvin Jones. He has a band called The Art of Elvin. And they're just 2 drummers, specifically Art Blakey, who just really knew how to groove. And the left hand work that they do with their snare drum, it's all these ghost notes and little things. They're felt, not heard is a good way to describe them. There's things that they do that a lot of people wouldn't, like a drummer analyzes it and there's so much going on and someone else might not realize how much is happening because he's just so good with his touch and everything he's doing there. So a lot of those songs, like Caravan was a huge song. Love that song. Probably one of my favorite jazz standards. We're playing that today with the steel orchestra that I'm going to play with. Just moving through different styles. Caravan was known for being multiple styles, Latin and jazz, and just being able to, he was probably, I can't say for certain, I need to be better known up, but early side of fusion on things, just like, I mean, switching time signatures and feels and stuff, and just feeling good the whole time.
I should know this, I'm sorry for my ignorance, but pan exclusively hands? Do you ever?
So it's the steel pan's played with mallets. The hand pan, the one that's bubbled up, that's the one that's played with the hands.
Okay.
Yeah, I play with mallets, and there used to be down in Trinidad, it's like a wooden dowel wrapped with a rubber glove or a rubber band or something just to make an end to like kind of bounce it. And then all the way down to the bass pans. The lower you go, the larger the skirt, and also the larger the mallet. So the bass pans are played with like, small apple-sized mallets.
What do you use?
I use they came from the pan that I bought, Coil drums down in Miami, I want to say, down in Florida, and they're just stainless steel rods that have surgical tubing at the end of them for the strike point.
Okay.
So it's just some type of rubber to give you a bounce on it.
Yeah.
But something firm enough.
How did you land on those? And were there many that came before?
There's a few different iterations people like to do. These were some that I was sent with that pan.
Nice.
And they're a little bit longer, and I like that they're a little bit longer.
Okay.
And I liked that the stainless steel, they're also, I use them for tools. If you see them, they're jacked up just from undoing and redoing screws. Like when I'm down in Trinidad fixing stands and stuff, just using them as a tool. So it's really nice to have them be metal instead of wood, and they'll fall to pieces.
Do you happen to have a picture of them?
I don't think I do of my actual.
When you have a moment after your gigs or next week or something, shoot me a picture of your mallets because I'd like to see what they look like.
See if you can see them kind of in there at the bottom of that. That's a black and white picture there, but you can see them just kind of laying in there. Yeah. They're like about 8 inches long, 7 inches long.
Cool.
And they just have a little bit of piece of black surgical tubing on the end. It's just metal rods. Hollow metal rods.
I don't imagine pan work would ever be. Do people use brushes at all? Is that?
Yes. So there's extended techniques. It's not traditional, but absolutely. In college, we played a piece at knitting needles, like a crochet needles on the steel pan, and doing things like that. You have to have a light touch because the pan is tuned by hammering. So if you impact it with a hard piece, you can send it out of tune. So those type of things you have to know to have the right touch with it. Even with a brush, it's still metal, so metal on metal will push metal more. But yeah, I've played definitely the Odyssey piece that we did, the improv piece. I definitely pulled the brushes out for that and played some on there. It gives a really nice texture.
Yeah, I bet.
Very like airy, metallic texture.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the Alice in Chains Unplugged?
I want to say I've seen it on like VH1 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while.
It's Unplugged was like arguably the coolest musical idea to happen in my lifetime. Like folks from all genres, more or less, you know, we're going to pluck you out of the world that you live in sonically and strip it down. Anyway, so the Alice in Chains Unplugged opens with a tune called Nutshell, and it's super short. They put out a couple of EPs very early in their career. One was called Sap, and one was called Jar of Flies, and they're phenomenal. And there's, you know, there in my mind, there's always been a line between metal and hard rock. I don't ever really step over it because metal's never really it just doesn't do anything for me. But so Alice in Chains in my mind would be in the hard rock camp, which I don't really spend a lot of time in either. But these two EPs are like real chill and not of the ilk of
right.
Anyway, so
not what they make their money on.
It opens with Unplugged. Their Unplugged opens with Nutshell, and they take the stage individually to start the song. A couple of them are already out there, but they one by one they kind of
piece the song together.
And dude at the kit has got the brushes out, and I mean the bass player he's playing an acoustic electric bass. And it has got a tone.
I was going to say the tone
to it,
the roundness of it.
Never heard. I mean, he's got like it's almost like he burned, which would be really tedious. The phrase "friends don't let friends get haircuts" is written like all across the bass, the body of this acoustic electric bass. So, and then Jerry Cantrell's playing 6-string. But there's so much nice texture, and the room's dark, and there's like 40 candles. Anyway. I knew that it's weird to say. I knew that brushes were part of the, drum world.
Yeah,
one of the tools. Heard them, but until that tune, I was like, there's a lot you can do, man, to really,
Brushes are very, very slept on. There's a great drummer, Benny Greb, who plays a huge amount of brush work. And I mean, people sleep on it. There's you can play some really dirty funk with it. And
nice.
Like, it's not just tea table jazz type of stuff.
Exactly. So this picture also, like I said, didn't turn out like I hoped. It was when it was on the device, it was an interesting sort of image spreadsheet of all of the Tech N9ne records. So 17 of his, if you include 5816 Forest, which is
it's coming out in June.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. I didn't know he was still putting out records. I know he gigs.
He's steady with it. Yeah,
he's steady with it. Nice.
Oh yes, he just dropped a track yesterday with a wonderful Kevin Church Johnson, another local here in Kansas City.
Cool. So 168 of these, only one episode has featured a Tech N9ne album, and it was all the way back to episode 100, which was with one of my sisters. So she had one of his on her list. So, I get that Kansas City loves its own. Sam Mellinger, who for many years wrote for the sports column for the Star, he works for the Royals now. He often talked about, he certainly believed, maybe still believes, that Kansas City has a self-confidence issue in that, and you got to go back to like the 90s really to because it's a totally different animal now. So many things have happened in the last quarter century in this city.
I called it Google when Google got here, when they landed here and started the fiber. I remember my friend lived down the block from where they opened the brick and mortar first spot.
Okay.
And I was like, Kansas City is about to be very different.
I mean,
and that was about 15, 17 years ago.
In 2000, I moved back. My dad had an exterminating company, and I worked with him for a little bit during the day, and he would go wherever, a lot of residential, but certainly restaurants and retail stores and so on. He had some customers downtown, and we would go down there to service them. And I was like, what? Downtown scared me when I was a kid because it was like busy and whatever. Kemper was new, and anyway, but I was like, what happened to this city? Where is everybody? This is crazy. It made me feel there was so little activity that I didn't feel super safe in broad daylight.
Right.
Because, anyway.
Just no cars passing.
Yeah.
No one's parked anywhere. Yeah.
Who's in all these buildings?
Right.
And so T-Mobile gets built, Power and Light, and then Google, even the Wizards rebranding into Sporting KC,
yep,
the Royals,
I remember that.
The Chiefs, restaurants. Now all of a sudden, there's like a whole KCK is a sought after, portions of it that are like hip, and it's sought after in terms of places to live. So it's maybe not the same as it was when Sam first wrote that. So KC loves its own. That's totally understandable. But how has the love for Tech N9ne managed to, Castaway? Have you seen this movie?
Yes.
When the piece of the porta potty washes up and he turns it into and he gets over that wave that he could never get over before. How has Tech N9ne managed to get beyond KC and worldwide? Is
consistency?
That fair? Okay.
For sure, consistency. I mean, even looking at the album covers, you can see he hasn't changed in the best way. He still, paints his face for shows, does his thing. He was one of the first doing the horror rap type of genre type of deal, and he just sticks true to what he does. He uses live bands, he uses live music. I've seen interactions and heard interactions with people that I know with him, and he's just good people. Nice. He's not one of those guys who's just a big head and doesn't want to help anybody. So from what I understand, I haven't met him personally, but he's good people, and then just the consistency of doing the thing that you do. It gives me a lot of hope for my thing, where I'm just I understand steel pan's weird and it's out there, and people aren't used to hearing it, and they're definitely not used to hearing it in the ways that I present it to people. But he is very, very solid proof of, like, if you just keep doing your thing and, like, you're good at your thing and you hone your craft, and people will gravitate to it. Even, like, people have, he's been through things where he's been, you know, drugged through the mud through mainstream media and stuff, but still is just on top of, like, if you talk to people who really care about that industry, he's on top of the world as far as that stuff goes. So it's just the consistency of his entire career. He was another one. Marley albums and Tech N9ne albums were,
Okay.
when I was young.
So Dad?
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yes. I believe he that was one of the interactions. My dad had worked, he was working security at a club, and I think Tech N9ne worked one of those nights, and he said he had a great interaction with him even then.
Cool.
So, yeah, consistency 100%.
So you are aware of him from a young age?
Oh, yes.
Sort of just always?
My whole life, Tech N9ne has just been in my stereo, yeah.
Okay, very cool. How are you exclusively streaming in terms of the way that you consume music?
No, I do like to. I have a CD player in my studio, so when I have my old CDs that I'll play every once in a while too. But then I do streaming, and then I try to buy albums when I can.
Sure.
Yeah.
So would you say that you're somewhat familiar with all 17 or 16 that he's put out so far? Or?
Yeah, at least somewhat familiar for sure. Some of them I've had back to front, like at least 10 of these back to front, and I own at least 8, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Last but not least, a little bit of a curveball for me.
Yes.
Eric Whitacre.
Yes. This is the other side of my brain. This is the classical part of my body.
So San Fran to Pittsburgh to KC and now Reno, Nevada. Composer, conductor, and speaker, best known for his choral music.
Yes.
What's the introductory story here?
I want to say it was high school choir.
Okay.
I want to say Lux Oremque, maybe, and also Water Horse or something like that, or Night Horse, Water Night, something. There's another one with a horse. But the chord, I get goosebumps already just thinking about it. His chord structures. Okay. He's very well known for writing. When you're writing for a choir, it's known as SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, generally 4 parts. Sometimes you split some of those into 2. So at most, if you're going crazy, like 8 parts. This man writes like 20-part chords, like crazy stuff, just like huge chords. And it goes back to what I was talking about with that paper about how something about the voice connects to other humans immediately because we all have it and we know to use it. And something about the structure of, 60 humans singing in like unison with all these different notes is just, the power behind it is incredible. He was also one of the first, if not the first, to do the virtual choir. It was him. He conducted a video of him doing one of his songs and then sent that out, and then people sang to him conducting it, and then it was like a mass of like 200 or 300 people.
Man, I feel like that never matches what I'm hearing the folks, be it instrument or it's all like it doesn't ever seem to match.
A lot of times that's because of the sound travel, because they'll be conducting to what they hear up there, but by the time the sound hits you, they're already half a beat of difference, or bad editing. That's a lot of bad editing.
Yeah, which makes me go like, I think these folks got it without you.
Right.
You can step down, which is
the best orchestras definitely go like that. And another huge one that I didn't mention would be Leonard Bernstein.
Okay.
Who is one of the most world-renowned conductors and composers, and he has a very famous video where he conducts, I want to say it's a European orchestra of some sort, entirely with his eyebrows. Like,
what?
Yeah, it's crazy. He's that good. Whereas it's just about that. If the orchestra knows the piece, and then you're just giving expression. A lot of the time, the conductor is there for here's the expression, here's an entrance or something like that. So he conducted the entire piece with just like raising his eyebrow and nodding. And they just, cool. I mean, it was the nuances. They were able to get real small and get huge, and
very nice
expression in music. It's that point between math and feeling, and when you can find out how to use one to manipulate the other.
I don't recall the details, but there's a mention of Trent Reznor's "Hurt," and then there's a mention of E. Cummings as well, who one of the most unique poets of all time. Did a whole lot of things that I don't know how quickly I could find something of his, but didn't use capitalization, and just basically, the approach you mentioned when it comes to writer's block. Here's a weird set of rules that you can only sit in this pocket for a minute. Format, spacing, single letter on a line, like all the, I mean, just, and was, he was good at his craft too. He wrote things like, This Is Just to Say, which is a poem that goes, this is just to say, that I ate the plums that were in the fridge that I know that you were saving. They were so cold and so delicious. That's like the whole poem. He's got one about like there's this image of like a wheelbarrow and it's rainy and there's a fox and it's just it's as long as the plums one, and you're like, you didn't finish.
Just stream of
you didn't
consciousness.
finish this, dude, and then you sit with it and you go, wow, that's really cool. You put me right fucking there.
Yeah.
And it's, you didn't capitalize anything. There's no commas.
It's just a statement. It is.
But the Trent Reznor tune, do you know this tune?
I believe.
So Johnny Cash covered it.
Yes. Okay.
And,
that's what I thought. Okay.
As the legend goes, Trent Reznor was asked about it, and he said, that's Johnny's song now, because the cover was...
Right.
Anyway, so shouts out to Eric Whitacre for having Trent Reznor and E. Cummings be part of your Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
What else about this dude?
It's really just his knowledge of definitely how he knows the voices, but his chord structure. And I love writing weird chords. My guys will tell you all the time. Like, I throw just crazy letters and numbers at them, and then they play stuff back to me. And a lot of stuff, when you're transferring from one instrument to another, a lot of things, if it's easy for you, it's going to be hard on another instrument. That is definitely for real on the steel pan, the shapes that I make. There's a song that I have that is mostly just two chords. There's an E flat 9 to a D9. And doing just those two chords, like, made my guitarist like, I'm not sure. And then as soon as he figured it out, he was like, oh man, yeah, this is nice. And it's just, instead of a traditional 3-note chord, I like to put in 6 to 9 note chords, because it also opens up it's kind of a cheat code. I can be less wrong if there's more notes to hit in the chord. So I'm really just eliminating the possibility of me messing up by just
nice.
pretending like the chords are very fun.
I thought I had some over there, but I think I pulled it from its spot, or maybe I only have stuff in anthologies, but I'll find something and send it to you.
Yes, please. That's interesting.
This is great, man. I really appreciate it. I usually hit you with a set of goofy questions, and then we'll wrap and get you out of here.
All right. Sounds good to me.
So the first is you're given the ability to have a coffee with anyone of your choosing, dead, alive, family, famous, doesn't matter. Who are you choosing and why?
Oh, that's rough. See, the cheeky one would be my mother. She passed when I was 11.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
good solid one. Yeah,
cheeky.
Yeah,
come on, that's fantastic.
But then also, I was thinking definitely like Art Blakey, just to like see that world of music and be in that. But yeah, for both different reasons. One, to just the obvious reasons for my mother, but then for the just I've been told I'm a very old soul before, so
Cool.
I'd like to know if I immediately connect with those old souls.
American Gangster with Denzel.
Yes.
When you said that, I envisioned you getting to the coffee shop and he's already there, and you walk in and you just, my man.
That's all I want. That's all I want.
Let's see here. So, Fear Factor, this television program.
Yes.
Old school reality TV with Joe Rogan.
Oh, yes.
Do some gross shit to win or whatever.
I watched Channel 38 when I was a kid.
Okay. So This is not for TV. This is not for a prize. This is real life.
Okay.
You got to get from point A to point B.
Okay.
But in the middle is the acme of your heebie-jeebies, your willies, your creeps. What is it?
It would have to be a situation.
Okay.
It's me. My biggest thing, the only really thing, is just not having control of a situation.
Oh boy.
So it would have to be something where I was just like, there's nothing I can do to get through it except do the it would have to be a freaky situation. Yeah, because I'm pretty strong-willed as far as most things go. Even I used to be scared of spiders, but if I need to do something, I'll just move things out of the way. It's not. But yeah, when it comes to I'm no longer in control of this situation, that's what freaks me out.
Sometimes people struggle to come up with a thing at all for this question, and to get their juices going, I share mine, which would be Kill Bill. Mm-hmm. Uma Thurman gets chloroformed and then buried.
Wait, I was gonna say that a situation like that. That's exactly it.
Or the little submarine thing that went to go check out the Titanic.
The ocean, yeah.
And
or the cave people, the people that go into the caves for no reason at all.
Spelunking.
Yeah, and they're in the tight spaces. Yeah, yeah.
And that sometimes there's water, dude.
Yeah, no way.
37 flavors of crazy.
It's insane,
dude.
There's so many better things to do in this world.
I love when every once in a while a daredevil-y TikTok or something, and the comments you don't have to do this.
Yes,
right?
It's there's you can just go eat breakfast or something. Yeah. This is crazy.
So this question is it's usually phrased like this. You're given if we can pretend we all have a personal and a professional bucket list. Mm-hmm. You're given all the necessary resources to go knock out your number one on both of those. And sometimes for folks they're one and the same.
They for sure for me.
Yeah. Now I have a hunch that somewhere in the answer for you on this question would be why we're counting on TikTok to gig with Tech N9ne.
Partially, yeah.
But what is the full answer?
The big one would be the panorama. The day that I perform on the front line of the steel band that I built in Kansas City, in the Panorama in Kansas City. That one day will be the 40 years of work finally come into fruition. And I'm not even talking about the first one. I'm talking about when it's year 4 or 5.
Very cool.
And people are really knowing it, and people are coming out. That I think is definitely the big life goal day. Okay. That will be the thing.
Okay. Anything else, personal or professional?
Just being able to provide for my family and friends through music.
Amen.
That I want to do. That is the other important part of that. I love doing the high school stuff and playing with the kids, but if you told me you can pick and just do steel pan and jazz all day and that's how you're making money, 100%, yeah, that's what I'm going to pick. And I mean, classical music is still great. I'm on the board for the percussion director for Pinnacle Winds, so playing classical music is I still love having access to those type of things, but yeah, just being able to provide not just for myself, but make sure my band and the guys that are attached to me can provide by using music only.
Yeah. When I was in undergrad, I was managing this kitchen that was sort of like an Applebee's of the Southwest, if you will. Concept, not that they might have multiple locations, but anyway, big old ginormous menu with, you're going to probably find something that you can tolerate anybody to order. And on Thursday nights we had, and I'm telling you, half a year to a year before I started there, all I had was legend Bob Marley. And by the time I'm working there and I have this interaction, I think I have 3/4 of his studio albums on cassette. And I'm starting to listen to Burning Spear and Steel Pulse. And I'm just in this lane for a moment where I'm I will become the reggae, everybody out of my way. And so there's this reggae band that plays every Thursday night, and they take a set break, and I at the soda fountain with the guitar player. I'm like, oh my God. Like, they're just a local act, right? You know, in this small town in Colorado. And I, like, temper down my fanboy enough to, like, say hello or something.
I know exactly what you mean. I just met all the Wootens last week.
Really? Yeah. As in Victor?
And his brothers.
Future Man?
And Reggie and Joe.
But these guys, this is just
right,
a local.
Yeah. But same idea, though.
So I'm like, bro, like, I have 4 seconds. Tell me about all the awesomeness that is playing in a reggae band. And he goes, man, don't play in a reggae band. You're just playing the same shit all the time. It gets boring real fast. And I was like, like
head exploded.
Yeah, like how? And I till that moment, I never really paused to consider how much skink there is in reggae, and I was like, fuck, man, talk about pissing in somebody's Cheerios. Like, anyway, music that you want to play.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's the important part. Not just anyway.
Because absolutely, that's why we're capable of doing whatever. That's fine. We even specifically learned to go up to Deadwood and play a saloon. We're a jazz and funk and steel pan driven band. We didn't play a lot of Skynyrd and stuff, so we learned Skynyrd and Hank Williams, and learned some stuff to go up there and play. And we still made it our own and had a lot of fun with it and put steel pan in some country songs, and people loved it. People had a good time. But it's still, even when we're playing stuff that we're not familiar with, it's still finding a way to enjoy it our way and do our thing, but still have the crowd enjoy it, because that is a huge part of it. It's not selling out to the crowd, but still, like, one for you, one for me.
Yeah. Here's, I say this because this is what helps me keep them straight. Hank Sr. is like kind of slowed down Western
the old,
rustic.
Yeah.
Junior is the Monday Night Football guy.
Yeah, just why do you drink? Yeah.
Does he sing that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Junior.
Okay. But whatever. The third, Hank the Third. Are you a Spotify person?
Yeah.
Find I don't know, a playlist or a greatest hits. 10 or 12. I mean, there's way more than that, but of like there are some incredible vibes to the music that Hank the Third wrote, and it is like he found a new flavor of outlaw to put in country, but also snuck funk into it. I'm not even an introductory student. I know 10 or 12 songs of his, and they're like Mississippi Mud is one that comes to mind, and the entire song is just how he likes to get just blackout drunk in the Mississippi Mud. That's the whole song, but it's so good, and his voice. Completely blind. He's got anyway. It's twang. Fun. Yeah. So you're given the ability to visit your past self, any age of your choosing. What age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
As early as possible, introducing myself to the steel pan and explaining how important it'll be. That is every time I hear. So I built steel pans out in Philadelphia for a little bit with Kyle Dunleavy, and some of them went to a middle school in Texas. And it's moments like that where I'm just like, if somebody would have just told me, if anybody, and it's no one's fault because no one knew, but if I would have touched a steel pan, like as soon as I touched the instrument, it changed my life. I told Dr. Bump that last weekend when I played for Truman Steele as the guest star. He changed I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I was probably going to teach. I was probably going to perform, do some jazz stuff. But as soon as I touched a steel pan, it's the only thing I've been doing for the last decade.
Wow.
So if I would have known earlier, That's the only thing. Yeah, I would just be like, this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Just start getting after it now.
Cool.
The kids down in Trinidad, I mean, Dr. Bump also has a great story where he's like playing in the Pan Yard of the Invaders, one of the bands down there. And it's all ages, 6 to 70, like all ages. And he said he's playing next to an 8-year-old kid who's so good he got bored and started playing the pan upside down and backwards, just laying on the ground.
Wow.
So like it's when you put it in the brain very early on, there's a lot of things that can help develop.
Sure.
That's why a lot of great musicians are made young when they have musical parents, because it's just when you set up the framework of the mind with those neural pathways of how that works.
Same as they say, if you can...
Languages and...
Yes.
Music is a language, 100%. Exactly.
Little person, anyway.
Yes.
Very cool.
My son knows a couple of Spanish words already.
Nice.
He's 2. And
nice.
Sometimes it's just easier. Potato is harder than papas.
Yeah. So please complete this for me. The world would immediately become a better place in which to live, if only...
people cared for others outside their circle more.
I love it. I mean, I think that's golden, exactly how you said it, but also I think you could have just put a period after others.
Yeah.
People cared for...
Yeah.
That's, parenting... there's plenty of people that I've come across in the world that you got to look out for number one, you, and it's like, ugh, gross. I feel like I need to take a shower after talking to, anyway, there is some of that, like we do, whatever, it's a different portion or percentage for every person, but also like, not to get all Jesus-y or whatever, but I think that the craziest thing about like religion in the Western half of the world and Christianity is like people like will wave this flag and say, this is what I am.
Right.
And it's like, if that's true, then it's all based on this dude whose one message was to look out for others first.
Right.
And you don't seem to be cut from that cloth at all. So this doesn't jive in my... Anyway, trying to instill that into my kids' brains and little moments like, I know it seems crazy to say it now, but at some point you'll realize that giving a gift is infinitely cooler and more fun than receiving one.
That's why I love teaching.
Which doesn't mean you can't like receiving gifts. Getting gifts is awesome.
Yeah.
But
it can just be also awesome to... Yeah, when my students have those realization moments, or when they come to me the next week and they're like, I hear music differently now. Like, that is my favorite. When I've given somebody the gift of, like, knowledge, especially in music.
Mic drop and
that's
walk
my favorite. Yeah. I had a kid just recently, he's like 7 or 8, start asking about 12-bar phrases. And I was like, you're from Kansas City, so you don't know how important that is, that you know what blues is and you don't even understand what you're saying. But, so yeah, there's too much... definitely of me and my thing in the world. That's why I'm huge on the family aspect of Legerdemain.
For sure.
It does not work without these guys. I tell them all the time. Like me and my keys player / cellist were doing everything we could. Literally, we're both singing. I'm playing drums and steel pan and singing. He's playing bass and keys. Like we can only do so much. So things don't work without everyone in it. And you have to, it takes effort, but I think that's the part a lot of people are like, you have to try to help other people.
Yeah.
So even a little bit is better than none at all.
Yeah. In the vein of others, I love when opportunity presents itself for somebody to say, it's easy to be an asshole. Like, you have to put in a little bit of work to be nice. And like, pause on that for a second and think about how many times, we all have moments where we lose our cool or whatever.
For sure.
But I mean, it is so easy to get fucking nice turn signal, or whatever, road rage, at the grocery store, wherever you are in the world. It is so easy that's another one of the wrinkles of TikTok. Just people filming
the
chaos between humans,
no
and
help
fights,
at all.
And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I hope in those moments, that there's not life out there, because if they
Oh yeah,
saw
they're
this
watching.
shit,
Like, oh, let's just leave.
it would
them
be
and-
so embarrassing.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of times where I'm like, I can't believe, like, are we not together in this right now? Like, just
Bro.
seeing crazy stuff happen. You're just like, are we doing the same thing right now?
Yeah.
Don't we both want the same thing?
Yeah. There's a dude who drops into my feed often, and I'll send it to you if I come across it, or when I come across it. But he just it's really just the frame is just his face, and he's telling stories from his youth or a moment that just happened in the grocery store, all cut from like pure positive, inspirational, just human. I'm like, more of that, please.
Yeah.
And less of the 19 people filming 2 people fight in a parking lot, or somebody shouting horrifically ugly words at another person. It's just like, God.
I ran into it last night. So I was playing for Olathe North, and it's their Pops concert for their choir. And so I'm just playing drums for, like 30 songs of them running through whatever they need to do. And there so happened to be a young lady who was doing an original and playing on guitar, and it was excellent. And I wanted to find a way to try and reach out to her parents and be like, hey, but we live in such a world that I was like, is that even appropriate for me to do, even though I'm just trying to help?
Right. Yeah.
And that's how scary it is like, I just think if I've had someone that age, or when I was that age, to help me, I would love to have that help. But then, like, we live in such a world that it could 100% easily just be viewed as manipulation or something horrible. So I was even just like mulling around, like, how do I go about this? And I finally came to the conclusion, like, I need to reach out to the teacher to tell him to reach out to the parents to tell them if they're interested. Because I want this to be I want because I want to be helpful, but I want to make sure everyone's also comfortable. But we live in a world that is quite uncomfortable. I think about it all the time, raising a 2-year-old already. Even it's terrifying.
My 8th grader, her last day of school was yesterday, and it's there's ECLC or pre whatever. A lot of these kids, K through 8, so they've been there 11 years in the same building, and so it's a half day yesterday, and the rest of the school will continue to go for like a week and a half or whatever. But the 8th graders finish early, and the whole school stops and lines the halls and claps them out. We call it the clap out. So that happened yesterday. It was nuts. Like, just, I'm in high school land now.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was flipping 6 pounds, 8 ounces when she was tiny, feels like, anyway.
I can only imagine.
So her mom had invited the whole class to come over and dump backpacks and get some food, and then they all went to Brookside and palled around, did whatever they did. And so she was like, I stopped by to help her with something, and then came here, and she was like, there's so much chicken. She got like the little Chick-fil-A nuggets, or she's like, do you want some chicken? Come get some chicken. And I was like, sure. So I ran over there and ate some food, and then went back to work. And there's one of the girls, in so many ways looks so much like her mother that you have to like have a governor on to not stare. 'Cause just the genetics,
right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I leave. The boys are like over here, and all the girls are spread out, on this concrete slab, sitting and eating. And she just sent me a few pics, and the pic of the girls, it's kind of far away, so I had to like blow it up a little bit to see who's who and blah, blah, blah. And I got to this particular girl who's in the picture. It's just a straight profile. And I zoomed, I was like, God, that is so crazy. And I almost screenshotted it and sent it back to her to just say like it trips me out. And I was getting ready to leave, and she was like, will you stop by for blah, blah. So I stopped back by, and I went in the house, and she's like, dude, look at this. And she went to that picture and went to that girl and went to zoom out to say, look how much she looks like her mother. And I was like, dude, I almost fucking screenshotted you, me doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And then I went, wait, that's weird. It's literally just fascination at the resemblance from a genetic standpoint.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. But in my mind, because I've become accustomed to I can't reach out directly to that girl. I got to go to the teacher. And I didn't screenshot that Zoom
self-awareness
to the
is a son
person
of a
that
bitch.
sent it to me. She was, we were dying.
Yeah. We live in a weird world
Yeah.
where a lot of us who are kind-hearted, just meaning well all the time, have to extra think and be like, I mean well, but could someone see this as not meaning well?
Right.
Someone recently brought up an issue with, when I drum, I have my drum head is a logo of mine that I had made by Natalie Bates. It's my face and it's Marcus Rattler music on the front, and actually has a picture of my steel pan as well. So normally that is, I just fill in for people. I play with people all the time, no problem. But even that, somebody brought up to my attention and was like, that bothers the shit out of me. And I was like, I did not. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't mean, I'm just doing the thing that I do. I wasn't trying to like take over the show.
Because you were playing part of their outfit as
yes.
part of their, and we don't want your brand spilling into what we're.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I was like, I mean, I'm glad you finally brought it up, but
Are we all supposed to prop each other up a little bit?
That's what, and I came from a point of confusion with that where I was like, I really didn't mean any harm, but like, no. I would gladly wear my friend's t-shirt on my face. Like, I don't know how to, like, I'll wear a mask of my bassist to play the drums. That's fine.
Yeah.
But so it's really about like, you can still be good intentioned and people will still take you completely the wrong way.
So marcus.rattler.music on TikTok, at Marcus Rattler on Instagram. You've got a Facebook, you've got a YouTube. Any other plugs?
Just check out Legerdemain. Make sure you're checking out all. If you go to Marcus Rattler Music on Facebook, that's my most generic. That's where I post everything. I put the events up and everything like that. And just definitely check things out. Please subscribe to the YouTube. I plan on doing this forever, so more music always is my mantra. Yeah.
Is there anything that you had hoped that we would cover that we did not?
No, I really was just excited somebody was interested in what I got going, because
I mean, your content's cool, man.
Well, thank you.
You know, it's funny. I do get some percentage of KC stuff in my FYP,
right.
and you know, sometimes you'll see people say things like, my FYP's too local. It knows too, like, and I've seen one person, like, they're filming themselves looking at, and they're like, because they see something that's like, that person could be, But so it made its way to me, and I dig it. I like it.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna now gleefully, when I see numbers, know what that engine's all about.
Yes.
And, I really appreciate it, man. It was nice to meet you, and I appreciate a little bit of your time.
Thank you. I appreciate anyone's got love for the music like you do. That's really awesome. We need more people like you.
Right on, man. Talk to you soon.
You too.